Chapter 19. For the first time since high school, the three of us won't be together. The end of college. We got accepted into Access Med, Samson called out cheerfully to Ramik and George one sunny morning. Access Med was a program that allowed pre-med college students to finish their senior year and take half of their first year medical school classes at the same time. Cool, said Ramik. I knew you two would get accepted, George said slowly. Samson, you're one of the few dudes who ever got an A+ in organic chemistry. You've got a 3.6 grade point average and are about to graduate cum laude. What can I say? Smarts just live here in this beautiful body, Samson joked. And you, Ramik, have a 3.4 GPA and better study skills than anybody I know. Well, maybe now we have a better chance, to survive that first year. I heard it's a killer, Ramik said quietly. Yeah, but we can handle it, Samson told him. So how does this work? Ramik asked. Let's see what all this paperwork says, Samson replied. We'll have to transfer to Rutgers for afternoon classes while we take morning classes at Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. Sounds like a dream come true, but you know what that means, don't you? George asked. Yeah, it means for the first time since high school, the three of us won't be together, Ramik replied, a serious look on his face. Well, we knew this would happen eventually, George said. My plans all along were to go to dental school. George had been accepted at the University of Medicine and Dentistry in Newark. I'm looking forward to it, but it's going to be hard not having you two to hang with every day. Yeah, I know, Samson said. Don't worry. We are still going to be there for each other. The three friends who had seen each other through rough spots and failures, through successes and laughter, in sorrow and close calls, would have to split up in order to reach their final dreams. Carla Dixon promised to be there for George and call him every week to encourage him. Ramik and Sam packed up and moved out, but they stayed close to George, catching up with him almost every weekend at parties or playing a quick game of basketball, and on some quiet evenings when they just hung out and talked. One night, after a particularly loud, serious party, the three of them sat together, talking about old times, laughing about teachers and classes, and relaxing in each other's company. You know, Samson began, I don't even know if I really even want to be a doctor. I mean, it seems cool and all, but I just don't know if it's for me. The other two said very little, but gave him the silent support he needed. Why you feel like that? George asked calmly. Remember that time we got the chance to watch that surgery, and I bumped the surgeon while he was making the incision? I'll never forget how he screamed at me, yelling, What are you doing? You're in my way, Samson sighed. Yeah, but that can happen to anyone if you've never been in an operating room before, Ramik told him. Well, I felt out of place and off balance. Even more, I wanted to give that surgeon something to think about for raising his voice at me. Maybe I should change my major to business. I'm awesome with numbers and calculations. Math comes so easy to me. I'd be a great entrepreneur. You'd be an even better doctor, Ramik told him with authority. Samson continued, Trust me, if not for our agreement to stick together, I would have switched majors a long time ago. Besides, 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, and then residency is way too long. I need to get my career started. My family is dependent on my success, and they can't wait too much longer for me to make it. You know, the grass is always appears greener on the other side, George said. I think you're in the place where you need to be. Samson continued. Whatever. I talk to students all the time who say their lifelong dream was to be a doctor. That's not how it was for me. I just stumbled into this program, and now that I'm here, I'm not sure if that's what I really want. I get scared and unsure of myself too, man, Ramik admitted. Yeah, but nobody seems to be as confused or frustrated as I feel most of the time, Samson said miserably. This place is nothing like home. Everything on campus is so calm and perfect. As crazy as it sounds, I miss all the noise, the sirens from police cars and ambulances, and the loud chatter outside my house at night is what I'm used to. I don't see anybody else around here struggling to get acclimated. They're used to this type of lifestyle. What we're doing isn't easy, but it's worth it, George said. We've gone too far to stop now, he added, trying to sound encouraging. Yeah, I know, Sam replied confidently. What makes this so different from Seton Hall? Ramik asked. You did really good while you were there. That was preparation, just classes designed to get us ready. This is the real thing, and the environment is different. The work isn't the difficult part. Sometimes it feels as if I'm out of place here and invisible to everyone. Truly, it is like being on another planet. I know the administration has programs set up, but they don't always connect, Sampson admitted. George, on the other hand, was really enjoying dental school. It was difficult not being with Sam and Ramik every day, but he loved his classes, and for the first time, he really worked diligently to study and master the material. For a while, he lived at home, then in his mother's old apartment when she bought a house. He and his mother were very close, and he knew how hard she worked to make his dreams come true. I don't like you working all these hours, Ma, he told her when she took on a part-time job to help pay his college tuition. You be working 14-hour days and come home late at night. I worry about you, Ma. I'm just fine. All you got to do, pay me back, is become a dentist and make me proud. I feel guilty sometimes, Ma. You doing all this for me, he told her. When you have kids of your own, you'll understand, she said. Now go study. She kissed him on his cheek and went into her room. Even the people in his old neighborhood seemed to be proud of him, at least most of them. Men would stop him on the street and ask him, How's all that college stuff going, boy? George would nod and smile and give them a high five. Women sometimes fixed him meals, and even the kids looked up to the neighborhood boy who walked down the streets carrying thick books, well beyond their comprehension. He relaxed, feeling comfortable in the streets that he ran as a kid, forgetting about 4 years at Seton Hall, about dangers that lurked there. One day, a bearded, scruffy-looking dude walked up to George and said, Hey, man, you want to buy some speakers for your ride? George, who had just bought an old car, thought that some new speakers would really make it rock. Yeah, man, George said casually. What you want for 'em? I got 'em round the corner. You can pay me what you think they're worth, the man said. George drove the man to the place where the car speakers were supposed to be. But when he got to the location, a secluded spot near some woods, the man suddenly pulled out a gun. Knowing he had forgotten the rules of caution on the streets, George felt like kicking himself. Should have known better, he mumbled. You know what to do, the man said. George grudgingly pulled out the last of his money, $45, and the man ran away in triumph. George sighed and headed back home, glad the situation hadn't been any worse. He knew his car could have been jacked, or he could have just as easily been killed. He went back to school, trying to balance dental school classes and responsibilities, friends and interruptions from the neighborhood, and his connections with Ramik and Sam as he struggled to maintain his grades and his sense of direction. It wasn't always easy. Oh no, George thought. I've got Dr. Nicholas this semester. George sighed as he looked out at his class schedule at the beginning of his second year in dental school. Dr. Nichols, known to be a difficult and demanding teacher, required each of his male students to wear a tie to class. George owned one tie, and he never wore it. He had never had occasion to learn to tie one. What am I gonna do? He thought. He grabbed the tie, then rushed off to class. He got there a few minutes early and spotted a classmate. Hey man, can you help a brother out? George asked, a little embarrassed, as he held the tie in his hand. Instead of tying the tie for George, the student motioned for him to follow him to the bathroom. He showed George step by step how to tie the knot. Then he untied it and let George try. George practiced for a bit, then the two students looked at each other and smiled. From that moment on, the knot George wore was his own. Conversation with Dr. George Jenkins. Hanging in there. Takes a long time to become a doctor or dentist. After 4 years of college, when most students are completing their education with bachelor's degrees, medical and dental students immediately begin their studies in medical or dental school. That takes at least another 4 years, depending on the program. After that, doctors are required to do both an internship and residency at a selected hospital to complete their studies. Sampson and Ramit got accepted into Access Med, a difficult program, but worth the effort. It takes a lot of perseverance to hang tough with challenging choices. Our peers were making money, often illegally, while we struggled for every nickel to buy books and supplies. Our families, although supportive, could not possibly understand the pressures we lived with. It takes the support